Okay, welcome then to this session as we take a look at CINAHL in the new EBSCOhost user interface. I appreciate a number of you may not be yet migrated to the new platform, so this is just really a kind of an introduction to it for you. Some of you may be trialing this, some of you may have already switched over to it, but there are some recent enhancements which we are pleased to introduce to you today, which we'll see a demo of as well. So I'll say more about that as we go through the webinar. So we do have a mixed audience today. We have some from the NHS, we have some from Sheriff, the group of libraries, the academic libraries, and we also may have some from the HSC in Ireland and other institutions. So welcome to all who are here today. And to formally introduce myself, I'm Richard Crooks. I work for the EBSCO Customer Training Services team as a senior customer training specialist. I support librarians, library staff, users in the UK and Ireland primarily, and also on occasion in the Nordics as well. I am a chartered librarian by profession. I've worked for NHS Library Services for more than 12 years prior to joining EBSCO about 14 years ago now. So glad you could join us in this webinar this morning. So in terms of what we plan to cover, we'll look at the new interface features. Again, there's some recent developments there, which I'm pleased to introduce. We'll have a live demonstration of the various search modes, options that you have for basic advanced searching, the use of CINAHL subject headings, also the application of filters and limiters to refine your search results, and also where you're looking to cite, save, and export search results, we'll look at the tools available both for the results list and also individual records. And also, time permitting, we'll have some questions and responses at the end. But feel free to post those questions, comments as we go through this webinar. And some of you may have attended this session back in August when we first launched this. Obviously, a lot's changed over that time. The platform is under development and there are new features which we'll look at shortly. So in terms of the objectives, I hope that by the end of this session, within the next hour or so, you'll be able to recognize and locate the new features in preparation to future migration or in the current application of searching on CINAHL. You'll also be able to understand how to execute basic and advanced searches, including use of the subject headings provided by the CINAHL index, filters and limiters that are applicable to this database, and also be able to access and use various tools within the platform to manage your search results. Okay, so for the benefit of those who are not familiar with CINAHL, I know I had a group of PhD students yesterday on a session that didn't know CINAHL very well. So we may have some students here today, some end users also joining this session, so they're welcome, of course. So do you want to recap then about CINAHL and its place in terms of the suite of databases that EBSCO provides? So it is a nursing and allied health database. It's the accumulated index of nursing and allied health literature, and covers a range of health specialties, as you see there, including cardiovascular nursing, critical care nursing, nuclear medicine, occupational therapy, oncologic nursing, pediatric nursing, physiotherapy, and psychiatric nursing, to name a few of those. In addition, it also includes health sciences librarianship, by the way, although we won't look at those topics today. Now, just to explain that we are focusing on CINAHL, the basic abstract and index only version of CINAHL. So you may already subscribe to CINAHL Ultimate, for example, which is the top-end version of CINAHL, which includes more active full-text, less embargoed content, as well as nursing videos. Likewise, CINAHL Complete, and then also you have other versions there as well. So although we are focusing on a particular version that is available nationally in England and Scotland within the NHS, other institutions like the HSC in Ireland, also within the Sheriff group, you may have upgraded to various other versions of CINAHL. But the principles that we're looking at today, the interface itself will be applicable to all versions of this database. So in terms of the new features and interface enhancements, just to recap some of the things that have been around for some months now since the platform was launched back earlier this year. So there is the new URL structure. So essentially what it means is that the browser address bar URL is now the permalink. So essentially it's a step from the original classic CINAHL, which some of you are still using, whereby you have to go to a dedicated link, a permalink, in order to bookmark the page, etc. So now you can use the browser address bar URL for any page within the new user interface. So that's a welcome development for this particular platform. In addition to that, there's this ongoing effort at EBSCO to ensure that the platform meets the latest usability guidelines, the accessibility guidelines such as WCAG 2.2 and so on. So the design is responsive, so you can access CINAHL on EBSCOhost on a tablet, mobile device, laptop, desktop, and so on. And it'll be configured accordingly. There is a simplified design for the interface, and you'll note that there's a lot of white space on the platform, and that's designed intentionally to reduce the cognitive load for users. Also, we have the application of auto-suggest, auto-correct features, easier access to the quick filters, so the shortcuts to be able to focus your search results. There is the support for EPUB formats, so ebooks or EPUB 3 now, of course, and digital rights management as well. And also for screen reader navigation, there is the emphasis on headings and landmarks to facilitate that. And we also have more descriptive text for images and non-text content. There are also transcripts for videos where appropriate. So some of the higher end versions of CINAHL have videos, for example, so transcripts are there. And also with the text-to-speech software, and for those of you who've been using the platform recently would have noted this, that in addition to online full text, HTML full text being available in terms of the audio file, the MP3 download, that is now also applicable to PDF content as well. So all in the name of meeting accessibility guidelines to ensure that we can reach all user groups, etc. And we have a dedicated department involved in identifying where there are shortfalls, etc., and they need enhancement. We also support, of course, multiple customers around the globe. So there's this emphasis on globalization to ensure that the interface is accessible to all, the majority of languages, as it were, although there are numerous languages, of course, but there are 33 languages currently supported, Hindi being the most recent one in terms of navigating the interface. So you can select a particular language within the My EBSCO preferences section, so as a signed-in personal user, and you can configure the interface to reflect the language of choice, as it were. So in other words, you can view the platform in your native language, subject to the number there, and view it there. It doesn't change, of course, the nature of the content, because that will remain the same. In addition to that, although I mentioned the text-to-speech software for online full text, with online full text, there's also a machine translation to translate articles from English to another language and vice versa. Also, a great development really has been the application now of the location of practice filter. So some of you who've used CINAHL for many years now will realize the geographic subset filter, which is still there, focuses on the country of publication or territory publication. So it could be a European journal, it could be a UK or Irish journal, for example. So the limiters for geographic subset relate to the country of publication. So the research may be carried out in another territory with another population group, but the actual journal was published in, for example, the United Kingdom, like the British Journal of Nursing, or if you think of the World of Irish Nursing and Midwifery, published in Ireland, even if the content or the research was carried out, for example, in Italy. Now with location of practice, it does what it says. It means that if you select United Kingdom for this filter, then results will be restricted to a UK population, UK territory, etc. And you see a range of territories there, including continents featured currently. And this filter is based on the subject indexing within CINAHL. So it's using the subject heading United Kingdom in this instance. So that can be selected from the advanced search page under the filters. In addition, so you will be very familiar with PICO, and that's been enhanced. So the actual query string is much more effective than previously, as it's doing what it should do in combining the various elements of PICO, the clinical framework, to construct your search strategy. And you can see the 5 elements here. We've introduced the time or type of study element. So how long would it take to reach the desired outcome? It could be a recovery period of within 6 months. It could be, a clinical trial, for example, or a randomized control trial. So type of study. So that's the 5th element that's been added to the PICO guided search app, which is available. That is not forced on anyone. It has been enabled in the NHS. I know for the Discovery platform, for the NHS Knowledge and Library Hub, and it's been well received there. And so you have these 5 elements. Of these 5 elements, only the first 2, the population, which could also be the patient or the problem, as well as the intervention, are required fields for using the app. And we'll see that as we go through the demonstration. Of course, that's also available for Medline, which some of you may have seen the other day as well. In terms of AI elements in relation to EBSCOhost, so we have generative AI insights, which has been made available. It's not, again, mandated. It's a choice that institutions have. And if you want this feature, then you'll need to speak to your EBSCO account representative. Of course, if you're a consortia, then others will be doing that on your behalf. So basically, you have these 2 to 5 point summaries in bulleted format of full text articles, which are generated by prompting a large language model, which I believe is called Haiku at this time. And that will provide a summary, this, again, a bulleted summary of the content of that article, which would complement the abstract if there is one available. So if you have articles which are just abstract only or with no abstract, no full text, you will not get a AI insights shown, okay, as well. So essentially the idea behind it is really to reduce the time users spend searching for relevant full text articles. It facilitates a rapid review of the literature. And the insight prompt itself uses the RAG method to reduce hallucinations. That's the retrieval augmented generation. And EBSCO also reviews a representative example or sample of AI insights from time to time in coordination with subject matter experts who provide the human in the loop, checking for bias, tone of the article, accuracy, and timeliness of insights as well. And you can like or dislike the insights as well. So when you're using this, testing this, you can feedback in that way. Okay, so it's something which is enabled in our EBSCO Experience Manager tool, but before that, it needs to be ordered, if you like, through EBSCO, though there's no charge for this. In addition to that, what is live and is applicable, and we'll demonstrate this today, is the natural language search mode. So natural language search allows users to search using everyday terminology and in a question or a statement form. So if you used it in a normal keyword search approach, it would not work. So it's in a question or statement form in terms of the query you enter, and it streamlines information retrieval. It makes it faster, more efficient, obviously results more relevant. It will reduce the number of hits, and it's basically using everyday language, essentially. So it's really reflecting the age we live with tools like Siri, Gemini, Alexa, and so on. And so that feature is defaulted to hidden. So it needs to be enabled, it needs to be switched on, again, in the EBSCO Experience Manager tool, which is the newer admin platform, which complements EBSCO admin. So it can be made visible and also made the default search mode. Now, in most cases I've seen, it's not the default search mode, but it can be switched on when you need to use it. Okay, so it's pretty intuitive and does what you would expect it to do to construct a relevant query and bring back results in relation to your question or statement. And we'll see how this works in practice in a demonstration as well. So this can also be utilized as a search mode from the advanced search page. However, one thing I've noted with the new interface, it will not show you the actual query on the advanced search page. That may be something which is coming, but so typically, it's probably advisable to use it for the basic search screen as opposed to advanced, but it's possible to use it for the advanced search page with the natural language search mode selected. So it still function in the way you expect it. You just may not see the query because you'll see the design of the interface has changed recently, which leads me to introduce that, and that is this. So you may have heard this. I've mentioned it in sessions around in recent weeks. So this was launched about 2 weeks ago, just under 2 weeks ago. This is the advanced search results list. So I know a number have been waiting for this, where the search history is actually displayed on the results page. So this will not be applied if you use basic searching only. You'll not see this. But once it's switched on, and I'll mention that in a moment, enabled, it will be displayed when you use advanced search. So essentially what you're seeing, you will see the 3 rows, the 3 search boxes are maintained. The search history and the option to combine search strings are shown on the same page, and the results contain additional metadata. So the likes of volume number, issue number, page numbers, and the total number of pages as well. So just to give it a bit of more detail, as it were. So there are improved button designs. You'll see that it will display all the searches, and you can download up to 500 lines from this interface, as we'll see later. You have the applied perimeters, so it will detail the search mode that you're using, any expanders applied. It will also track filters that you apply as well. So again, with the view to meet Prisma guidelines and so on. The hit counts also given for each set. You'll be able to identify which databases you're searching as well for each line. And also there's a tools menu, there's an actions menu, which allows you to edit search strings from this page, and go out to the page to edit and then rerun it, as it were. And it's synchronized with my dashboard and recent activity. So recent activity has been the main place we've been directing users to, yourselves to see where, how you've searched, etc. But now you will have it also displayed once enabled on the interface. So again, this is just a closer look, really. The 3 rows are maintained on the advanced search page. The search history itself can be collapsed, so it can be hidden briefly or expanded, but typically it will show on screen once you've run the searches, and you'll see the set numbers on the left there. You can resort them so that they are sorted in chronological order. By default, they're shown in reverse chronological order. So you have the search string with the field codes, etc., the commands. You have the search options indicated, and then you have the results, the number of results, hit count for each line. And then you have the tools menu where you can edit your search results. You can add that line to a project, a custom folder, and you can also delete. So as my old library manager used to say, never believe a zero. If you end up with 0 results in a search string, it's possible that there's an error in the search strategy, which either you can edit or delete on this interface, and it will resort and renumber the search as well. So just to clarify then, that functionality is not mandated. We don't impose that on anyone. It's your choice whether you feel that's appropriate. I think the majority of libraries will deploy this. So it's configured in EBSCO Experience Manager. So you can select the default landing page to be the advanced search page, which I think in most cases it is, except, for example, in some university institutions, you may have a separate profile for undergraduates, which may default to the basic search page. But you can let me know if that is indeed the case. That may be just an assumption, but I think most of those, whether students or staff, faculty, clinicians searching the healthcare databases, they typically will be directed to that advanced search page. So you make the advanced search page the default landing page, and then with the advanced search results page section, you choose through custom advanced. Okay, so there's 2 settings here that are essentially required. Okay, although you could have the advanced search page without advanced search result list, which probably is not the preferred option now. It's probably preferred to see the search history displayed as I've shown in the screenshot. So that is just an introduction to it. We will see that live as we go through the demonstration. So I won't just leave you with screenshots this time. You'll see the actual interface as it is now. So we'll go to a live demonstration. So the first one will be in CINAHL Ultimate, because of the nature of the demo I'm using. I will use for the natural language search just to illustrate that feature particularly, and then we'll switch to the standard CINAHL demo for the rest of the session. So I'm going to go now to my demonstration. So hopefully you can see the basic search screen. So for the natural language search, I'll use the basic search screen to demonstrate this and highlights a couple of features. So the first thing I'm going to do is just enter my search here. So I'm going to switch the natural language search mode on for this basic search, and then just enter in my search here. So I'll put in, what are the standards of care for pressure ulcers? Okay, so I can just put a question mark there and I can hit enter. So you can see the point here is that you can see the query and also the results below. Now you'll see I've got the reference here to the natural language search, and I can see show refined query here. And if I just zoom in a little bit, you'll see it gives me the actual query, the Boolean logic here with the or and operators accordingly, and the parenthetical statements, etc. So for example, it's indicated pressure ulcer or pressure injury, or decubitus ulcer, standard of care or clinical guideline or treatment protocol, etc. Okay, and obviously what you'll see here, and you can see the first item is in Wounds UK. So you can see the key terms are highlighted in yellow in the title, which also hyperlinks. So you can click through to the detailed record, and you'll see the other elements are in bold, both in the abstract and the subject fields. Notice on this page, by the way, the abstracts are collapsed. So if you want to see more of the abstract, just click show more here, and it will expand the abstract to show its entirety. Likewise with the subject fields, it's limited on screen to make it more, reduce the cognitive load. In the past, we've had multiple authors, multiple subheadings, and it takes up a lot of space on the screen. So we've kind of adapted it to collapse these fields so that you can just expand them when you need to. For example, item 2 here has 16 more co-authors there. So again, when you open these up, it does create a lot of space, take up a lot of space for one record on the screen. So there's a brief format that is currently shown. If you do want to see the abstract, I know some in the NHS have been querying this in its entirety. That is a setting in EBSCO Experience Manager, so it's possible to view every record that has an abstract with the abstract open fully. But that is a setting in the admin tool to display that. Okay, so if you wanted to filter results here, by the way, you would just click all filters here, and this will expand this area, and then you can go in, for example, choose English language. If you are focusing on an age group, for example, as you might do with CINAHL as well as Medline, you've got age here. So for example, if you're looking for those age 65 plus, then you can apply that filter, that age group, to the results and have that displayed. Okay, so brought down the number there, etc. So going back to the new search itself, what I'll do now, I'm going to switch screens. That is the natural language search mode. And just to illustrate also here, perhaps quickly, if I go to advanced search, you will also see under search options, it's been selected as a search mode. So once you toggle on the natural language search mode on the basic search screen, it will also default to this search mode here as well. And for each of these search modes, so proximity, which for those in NHS England has been relabeled as phrase searching, you have these search modes here, and these can be relabeled. You can hide some of these if you don't need them. If you feel natural language search is not helpful, then you can hide that from view altogether. But if you want definitions, explanations as to what they do, go to the EBSCO Connect context sensitive help menu, and it will display on this page, and it will give you an overview. So again, you might find there are some customizations that have been done centrally for you. So for example, in the NHS, again, proximity has been relabeled phrase, and also the default N5 operator. So N5 being near 5 words or less, the words in any order has been changed to W0, which is within 0, which means the phrase searching is what it's doing. It's treating items as a phrase. So for example, if you were to enter childhood obesity, it would be treated as a phrase, as opposed to childhood within 5 words or less, or near 5 words or less of obesity, and or obesity near 5 words or less of childhood. So again, there's some configuration that can take place in the admin tools for these features. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to this demonstration site now, which is focused on CINAHL specifically, rather than CINAHL Ultimate. Again, the interface will remain the same. The difference will be the content coverage, so the active full text, non-embargoed content. But CINAHL is available nationally in England, in the NHS, and also in Scotland. And some of you within the Sheriff group may also have this version, but others would have upgraded to the higher-end versions, as it were. But the principal searching will be the same. So just to, again, cover some of the navigation here, we've got the multiple rows here. You can add more than 3 rows. You can add up to 12, in fact, which mirrors the classic version of EBSCOhost. You have the fields, the field codes here you can select from, and we've also introduced the ability to simultaneously search title and abstract. So XB simply means that you can search through both fields simultaneously, whether or not the term appears in one or the other field. Okay, so that's also available for the new platform. So you can choose multiple fields there. We have the filters below, so you can see various filters here. I mentioned location of practice. So for example, we'll try this out in a moment. So you can see that down here. Let's see, where is it? Yep, so geographic subset, I mentioned that. That's the country publication, and you can see we still have UK and Ireland here. So this refers to UK and Irish journals. And then location of practice, you have the territory of the United Kingdom. Okay, so if I did a quick search here, and I'll do this just combining the search, these elements. In fact, before I do that, also point out to you the search options again, and this time the expanders. So again, you can configure this. You can hide these, etc. I think you can relabel them as well. So in the, I think I know for the hub, the EBSCO Discovery Service, I think all 3 are currently displayed for the NHS in England. So you can configure this accordingly. You can disable this if you need to. Okay. But again, if you want more explanations about what they're doing, then go to EBSCO Connect and you'll see a dedicated help page. Yes, so thank you for that, Christy. Can I clarify the question here? Can I clarify the XB, the term in the title or the abstract field? You've labeled it title and abstract, which might be confusing. Yes, that has been highlighted. We have reported that to our product management team, that title or abstract would be probably more appropriate, because we talk about title and abstract searching, but what we really mean is that we're searching in either field, but simultaneously, right? Which other platforms have been doing historically, and now EBSCOhost can do. So there is some discussion, possible plans to change it. So I don't yet know where we are with that. It's beyond me, as it were, because it's now been reported, and we're waiting for feedback on whether that will be changed or not. Okay, so yeah, I agree that it's title. It says title and abstract, but in reality, it points to searching both fields. So we do have an FAQ on that. I can forward that later, perhaps, but there is an FAQ on that. So what I will do after this session, I'll collate some of the questions and comments. I'll provide further responses with documentation as well. Okay, and Kerry's also asked, how accurate are the filters, for example, age? So the accuracy will depend on the indexing of CINAHL. So basically the age, gender filters that we saw, they will relate to the index. They're using the index terms basically. So I don't know if I've still got this one up here. If I have, in fact, let me do a search and we'll look at that again. But basically, the age filter, the gender filter, and also location of practice are using the CINAHL index term. Okay, so the subject headings. So it's defaulted. So it's based on the indexing of content. So obviously, one thing to know is if you are searching for an item that is not indexed, so it could be a pre-CINAHL record, so it's been added to the database, we have the citation, but no subject indexing, then obviously if you filter by age or gender, it may not pick up that article unless you've included that in your keyword search. Okay, so this is why we always talk about, combining, for example, title and abstract searching with the subject search, because by using the keyword search within title and abstract, you're going to retrieve records based on those keywords appearing in those fields, as opposed to using the index term, which is assuming that that item has been indexed thoroughly. The indexes have assigned CINAHL headings. If those headings have not been applied, then those filters would not be suitable, as it were. So bear that in mind. If you're using the age and gender filters, they are based on the index term. So if the heading for that age group has not been assigned to an article because it's recent, it's what we call pre-CINAHL, then you will not pick that up. So thanks for bringing that up. And again, I can provide more clarity on that in the post session in the document I'll send with the questions and comments as well. So just to clarify again, this is where you find information on the expanders. Okay, so and then moving on, publications. If you are looking for a particular publication, you'll see them alphabetically listed here. You can search for any words. So if I put in nursing, then you'll see it comes up all types of nursing journals there, nursing science there, journal nursing research, etc. So again, you can browse this and search by subject. And then we have CINAHL headings as well. So CINAHL headings is the index basically. So if you're looking, for example, flu vaccine here and run a search for flu vaccine, you'll see a prompted to use the definitive CINAHL subheading influenza vaccine here. And if you click through to that term here, it will give you the scope note, which is quite brief in this instance, what it's used for. So if you typed in flu shots to browse the thesaurus, it would direct you to this term. Likewise, flu vaccine, etc. Also, the history notes to see before 1988, you had to search under vaccines or use the heading subheading vaccines. That's going back a few years now. And then you'll see the subject tree, that the CINAHL subject hierarchy. So as you would expect, these are coming under viral vaccines, under vaccines, biological products, etc. These are obviously under chemicals and drugs. And you see influenza there, etc. And you can select it, of course. There's also the option to apply subheadings as well. So if you're looking for adverse effects in relation to flu vaccine, influenza vaccine as the index term, you'll see that option is there. And then you can check the scope note to determine, is that the subheading you should be using? Okay, so those are there as well. So that's just a brief look at the subject indexing, which we'll look at a bit more when we run the more comprehensive search, as it were. So just a review really of some of the key features that you have on the advanced search results page. And on the left-hand column, we'll make use of this. Okay, another comment here, so I'm going to stop here for a comment from Richard. Will automatic CINAHL heading mapping be available as it is currently? It depends what you mean by automatic mapping. If you're thinking of the suggest subject terms option, that's available in Classic. That is not available for the new interface. So I'm not sure if that's what you mean, where you um, select, you enter your keyword, tick the box, and it maps it to the heading. So what I just showed you is the way you're mapping to the heading. You go to the heading, CINAHL Headings tab, you enter in the term, and then you click search. Okay. There is also, if I click new search here as well, go back, there's also the CINAHL Headings option here as well under Research Tools. And that will, if you're in another part of the, if you look at the results list, for example, and you want to go back to the headings, you can click CINAHL Headings under Research Tools. Okay. So you might want to clarify that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's something which we can highlight. I mean, again, we're fielding comments, feedback from yourselves and reporting that to our support team, to product management for possible enhancement, future enhancements. So as with a lot of things, if enough people are asking the same thing, then it may be prioritized and brought back or introduced, etc. I can't guarantee that, but it really depends on how popular that feature is. If it's a must-have, etc., and we know that a lot of people around the world are asking for the same thing, then who knows, it may be incorporated. I know some features have been with EBSCO now for almost 14 years, have been added in response to, customer feedback, as it were, user feedback. Yeah, so Kirst, I think Christy, you're also going to ask the same thing. Okay, you mentioned the CINAHL Headings over on the left rather than integrated into the main advanced search screen adds multiple steps into the workflow. Yes, okay, so we can take that on board. Yeah, it's a great feature. Okay, right. Okay, that's a good, that's an interesting point, that it impacts the useness of the interface as a tool for systematic searching. Yes. Yes. Okay. Well, this is good feedback. I can report on this as well because I'm actually due to attend a meeting, I think, in a couple of weeks to go through, responses to the existing interface. And I've not even got to the actual advanced search results page yet, which hopefully you will see the benefit of in a moment. But just again, go back to the interface itself, the My Dashboard projects, we'll come back to that, but that's where you have your custom folders. So when you're running evidence searches and you're collating records and collating searches, you can group them together in a project folder. And that also can specify a due date. So if you're working in support of clinician or nurse, etc., or occupational therapist, then you can specify when the deadline is to complete that search, etc. The save folder is the default folder for saving items, whether it's records or searches. Recent activity is recording what we've been doing. I've just switched to another demo, so you can't see that right now. Alerts is basically where you have search alerts, journal alerts stored, and then you have the new search option under Research Tools. The help menu here currently takes you to this page, the Quick Start Guide. For those of you who transition to the new EBSCO Discovery interface, which looks very similar to the basic search screen for EBSCOhost, you are directed to the help on the hub page. So it can be configured to direct users, your users and colleagues, to a dedicated help page. It may not necessarily be the standard default page for the quick start guide from EBSCO. It could be a specific site that you would direct users to, and that will need to be configured for that. Publications authority is just simply another way to get to the publications page. Likewise, the CINAHL Headings takes you back to browse the thesaurus. Okay. So those are there. So again, just to let this quickly run a search and then apply the location filter. So I'm going to just do this search now on chronic migraine. Okay. I'm going to choose from the drop-down menu. I mean, you don't have to. These are just terms that users commonly use, but I'm just going to add these in just to bring back more results here in this instance. And I'm going to combine with acupuncture here and those terms. So I'm not saying you should use those elements. They are just commonly used terms about this topic. They're not necessarily the authoritative search, but again, just for illustration, I'll use those and combine with the Boolean and, as you see here, and I'm going to apply under the filters the location of practice just to illustrate this. So bear with me as I choose this. So drop down and then United Kingdom and run the search here. Okay, so not a huge amount of results. Obviously, I could be more thorough. I could use the subject fields, etc., use more synonyms, etc. So it's just a quick search here just to illustrate the functionality here. And you can see the results appearing, and also, kingdom highlighted in this particular journal, etc., and so on. So again, um, you can see those. Some will be mentioned in the title, others will be indicated, in the abstract or subject fields as well. Okay, so you can see this one, although some of these are quite dated. But again, I'm not doing an exhaustive search here. I'm just doing a quick one just to illustrate the functionality with this topic. So again, you can apply the filter from the from this advanced search page here. And any search I've done now from now on is recorded in recent activity. And also to highlight now, we have introduced the ability to actually delete. So we've got the little bin there, the dustbin there. So you can select and delete here. You can, of course, delete from this menu as well, which you could, as always, but there's now the bulk delete. So when I do some more searching in a moment, you'll see them appearing in recent activity under search history, and I can delete rows of searches from this menu. So that's a new feature which also has been incorporated fairly recently. So what I'm going to do now is go in here and let me just check here. I've got the Pico app to run as well. So maybe what I'll do here first, I'll just do Pico first, and then we'll go to the advanced search and show the new result list. So I'm trying to keep to time here. I realize time does pass very quickly when you're doing these sessions. So the Pico app is available on the top right there for those who want to use that. And on here, you can enter your terms. So for example, if we are looking at gallbladder dysfunction, then I can, and comparison HIDA scan with ultrasound, then I can add these terms. So for example, I can put in gallbladder here, a dysfunction. Okay. I can add HIDA scan. Okay, the other terms we could be using, ultrasound, and let me see what else is there. I can probably just leave it on for that for now, just to sake of time. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to put those three terms in for now. Obviously, you can populate the rest if you need to, etc. And some of these things will be applied. But basically, you can just construct a query here. You can add the search, and it takes this back to the advanced search page and obviously populates the box, the search row, with the query string based on those terms. So, and then you can run the search from here. Obviously, at this stage, you can apply, for example, English language here. For example, if you want to be original, you can exclude any Medline records as well. You can apply that. We've got the evidence-based practice filter, which restricts to high quality evidence, as it were. And you've also got the publication date as well. So, for example, the last 5 years. Now, I don't know how this is going to work on this one. No, it's not probably the best search to use. But if we use another one here as an illustration, I will just check this one out. We can use smoking cessation, for example. We can put smoker. We can put in nicotine replacement therapy here. Okay, I'm just going to use that one there. You can combine terms, although officially you should not do this necessarily. I think the general advice is just keep it simple. But I found that it does work with other elements as well. So again, if you're looking at acupuncture here, you can also use truncation for acupuncturist as well if you wanted to, and the outcome being smoking cessation. So again, you can construct a bit of a query here using Boolean operators. I've even tried the proximity search with near and within, and it does work. But for sake of time, I'm going to keep it to this and then run the search here, and you'll see we've got the results below. Okay, so again, a quick way to get to more relevant content, of course. Again, it doesn't necessarily replace the more systematic searching it will do when you're combining title searching with subject searching. But again, it's a tool that can be used initially to identify content. Okay, so again, you can see some articles there, and you can see the relevancy based on the terms being highlighted and also in bold within the abstract and subject fields as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, because of time, I will switch to the main element, if you like, and I will start another search here, and just illustrate again with recent activity, I can now bulk delete these searches, right? So they're no longer needed for this. So I'm going to delete them all, and they're gone from here. So that's a new feature as well. So if we go to new search, and then we'll start typing. So we're going to use an example here of bowel cancer screening, essentially. So bowel cancer and screening. So I'm going to start off with a title search. So I'm going to use the drop-down menu for this. So I'm going to put in bowel cancer, okay, or colorectal cancer. Okay, now again, I can reconfigure this another way, but just for sake of time, and just really to illustrate, etc., then I'm going to use these terms. We are doing some more systematic searching, supporting system reviews sessions in December, so that will get into more of the details of truncation, wildcards, and so on. So I'm just going to run it like so, and I'll run the search now without any apart from the title abstract, and just enter in as it is, but I'm going to combine that with the subject search with the CINAHL heading. So the first thing you'll notice now is that those rows are remaining on the page. This is the new advanced search result list. So we've got the results below. We've got filters now there showing. We have the rows displayed, and you'll see the search history is collapsed by default. So now when I open this up, you'll see the search string is now on this page, and we have the option to combine with the Boolean operators with other subsequent sets. Okay, so again, just to highlight, you have the search itself, the search options, the results, so the hit count, and then the databases here, and then you have the tools to edit the search, etc., and so on. Okay, so let's see. Yep. So we'll maybe try that out in a moment. So I'm going to go now to the CINAHL headings on the left-hand column, because what I want to do now is look for the equivalent CINAHL heading for bowel cancer. So I type in bowel cancer and search for this, or browse the thesaurus for this. You'll see we're prompted to use colorectal neoplasms. So I can also select it from this list here, or I can go to this option. Okay, and it may also, I can select it here, suggest related headings here. So there is a related heading that I can also use, and again, you can see where this sits within the tree. So because this term has been exploded, it's going to include colonic neoplasms as well. Okay, as you see there, and colorectal neoplasms there also. Okay, so again, you can expand those if you wish. Okay, so we'll stick with that for now. And go back to the top, and I'm going to add these to the search. Okay, and you can see with the query string, we are using the MH field code, which is the exact CINAHL subject heading, which you can also see. So I'm going to clear this, by the way. And then you can also see MH is also featured here as well in the drop down. So you could enter essentially colorectal neoplasms and choose this this entry in that drop down menu. But we're going directly to the thesaurus to search for the terms. We have the plus sign too that indicates it's been exploded to include the other headings as well. And then we can click search. Yes, just going back to the Pico search. Does the Pico search or Peacock search use the natural language feature to pull through synonyms, or is it best to keep natural language searching with the basic search? So Pico is not using the natural language search feature. It's simply taking your key search terms and creating the query. Okay, so it's not kind of interpreting that. It's strictly going by the terms that you've entered. Okay, so it's not necessarily AI powered, as it were. It's basically as if you entered those keywords in the search rows as you would normally, but Pico is just an app which obviously has already created the framework for you. So the Pico search searches all an institution's content on EBSCOhost. Yes, so the Peacock search the query that I ran using Pico, or the Peacock search app, is retrieving results based on the index content in, CINAHL. That when I say index content, I mean the content that's there, but by keyword searching. Okay, it's not unless with the expanders that apply with current subjects, it could in theory be pulling other records that are indexed with terms that relate to your keyword search terms, but strictly speaking, it's a keyword search. Yes. Yeah, so okay. Rowena's mentioned also there is TX, TR. So title abstract is XB. TX searches the citation plus the full text record. Okay. You can search title abstract separately as well. Okay. So XB is the combined title and abstract search. okay, which is what I used in the first instance. Title abstract can be searched separately also. Okay. Okay, from Christy there. Having to clear the fields code when adding a subject from the CINAHL heading is really not good. It's not necessarily a step in the workflow. Yes, I agree. There is a clear find filter which can remove the previous search, which I thought this was on here, but basically, yeah, there's some elements here we need to follow up with. Okay. Yes. So is there from Chris there, is there an option or development coming to reset the field search when selecting subject headings? Yes. So there is a clear find field search option. So that is set in EBSCO Experience Manager again in the admin tool. My assumption is that it would work in that way, but I'm not sure that it is. So I need to investigate that further. But that's a good point. And Rowena, yeah, again, I will collate all these responses, and it's quite a lot to keep up with there. That's fine. It's good to have this feedback. So Rowena mentioned no drop-down option for TI or AB or MH. So yes, there is. So if you go on this screen that I'm on now, on this page, if you go, you'll see TI, okay, AB. So it's possible to add, to search title abstract using, enter the terms, the same terms in both rows if you wish, and you can select or if you prefer to use that option. But there is now, as I've shown, title abstract as a single field. You can search within a single field for title abstract. Okay, yeah, and you can, yeah, you can do this. So for example, you can choose title, abstract, and yeah, subject term. Now, of course, with exact subject term, it presupposes that you know what the exact subject heading is in CINAHL, which generally we don't until we search the thesaurus. So you could, as a safeguard, go for the other option, which is MW worded in the subject heading. So if I typed in influenza, it would do a word search for influenza within the subject tree, and that should pick up influenza vaccines as well as other related headings as well. Okay. So there is one more, which is more generic, SU. So this is where you can also include the author supplied keywords as well. So SU would cover the CINAHL index term plus author supplied keywords. So it's more generic. Okay, so it may be used particularly when you don't know what's out there, when you don't know what the heading is. Okay, the way I'm showing is, so I hope that, yeah. Okay, so does that make sense, Rowena? I can show you can see, you can search multiple fields, you can select all fields here. So yeah, okay. So I think select a field has been replaced by all fields or yeah. So I know what you mean. Yeah, in the classic version currently it has select a field. Now it's all fields. Okay. So I hope that does answer that. Okay, so just to go back to the search history. Okay, that's great. Now we can combine these two. So we're looking at the first, which is the condition, right, with bowel cancer. So we can select both sets here and we combine with or. Okay. Notice what it does. It puts the combined set in the top search box and then click search. And then you'll see that appearing in the search history below. Okay. So you'll see now we've combined the two sets, the title object search combined with the subject search for this particular topic. And then of course we can move on to the intervention. We're looking at assessment or screening. So we can start using the terms. I can use some things like truncation, for example. I can add or for assessment. Okay. I can put in that will be assessed, assessment, etc. assess, and I can add with quotation marks early detection. So I'm not going to go and use all the features that we have. Again, we're going to cover that in other sessions in the next few weeks in December. So I'll do this as again a title object search here, okay, and then run the search here. And again, this would appear in the search history below. So we're on the same page. We can see what we've done. It's displayed clearly there. Again, it's the XB search. and you have the number of results and the database scores. We're still in CINAHL. So if we want to change this, we could go in here, for example, edit search details, and it takes us to this page, and then you can edit the search from here. So if there is anything else, we could put, for example, identifying. So I'll put identify, I truncate it for identification, identify, etc. So just add another keyword search, and then I can update the search. I can close this and this. And now when it refreshes, you can see I've added the keyword with the truncation symbol. So let me zoom in a little bit here. And what it's done, so if I zoom out, because then you can't see the tools menu. So you can see here, you can edit these search strings line by line, so you can update it. You don't have to reconstruct the query, as it were. Yes, so Katie mentioned, yeah, please, the search box now clears after search is executed. Yes. So again, that's a setting in EBSCO Experience Manager to clear find the field after searching. And from Chris there, save searching projects, are these being transferred when institutions users are migrated? Is there a workflow? So essentially, for the standard content that you save in EBSCO, the EBSCO folders, they will be migrated to the new interface. If you have custom folders, then you can go to projects and you can generate a report, download a report, which provides a spreadsheet of the content that you've saved there, okay, for a custom folder, okay? So saved searches, articles will be migrated if they're in a default EBSCO folder, okay? So again, I'll point this out to you. Yeah, thanks for that, Chris. Okay, so the final step we'll do then is the subject search. I know we're almost at the hour mark. We did start a little late, so I've got some liberty, I think, to go over for those who can stay. So the next thing is the subject search. Again, go to CINAHL headings on the left-hand tools menu, so research tools. Again, yeah, this is something which will probably flag because I'm not sure why this is not clearing. Also, what I noticed is going back to the my demo where I've got multiple databases selected. So I'm just going to clear this. I'm going to run a search for screening here. Okay. And then you'll see CINAHL uses the term health screening. Again, if you want to know more about that, you can click on that. You get the scope note. You can see what it's used for. And also of interest, it gives you additional headings as well that you may want to use. Epidemiology, maybe. I'll put that in just for the sake of it here for now. And you can see that health screening also includes cancer screening specifically as well, and there's genetic screening, etc. So again, we can choose these terms as well. So we can add these, and then we can combine. So maybe even health status indicators. And then if I go to the top here, I can add this to the search, and you can see all those terms have been selected. These are exact CINAHL set headings, and I can search for these as well. Okay, so now you can see that set has also been added to the search history. So we've got the set for the title object search for screening, and then we've got the equivalent subject headings as well. So what I can do now is I can combine those. Okay, so I can combine the two sets. Okay, combine with OR. And then again, you'll see the search string or query is then added to the top search box and search, and I can bring those up in the search history. Now, as you see, the search history has included, is displayed in reverse chronological order. So what I can do is go to the ID sign, and then now we have the sequence, okay? And again, I could in theory delete any of these sets. I can just go in and delete, okay? So at this stage, I've got the results there. And so what I might do at this stage is then filter, or at least apply some filters to this search. So if I'm looking at an age group again, I go to all filters here, or say English language specifically, and even source types, of course. We've got magazines featured. We don't really want to look at magazines, but, and I'm just double check here because I'm thinking back onto my, yep, CINAHL still, that's fine. So again, I can filter these. I can also use the quick filters here, for example, look at the last 5 years there. and then again go back to all filters, choose English language here, and then I could also feature the age group. Now again, age group, as I mentioned, does depend on the indexing of content. So by choosing age group, for example, if I choose middle-aged patients here, and then go for gender, I'll go for female here, then I am applying those filters, but they are based on the indexing of content. So again, if any records that are pre-CINAHL were not, indexed with those subject headings, they will be omitted from the search. Okay, so just be mindful of that. But again, just for sake of time, I can also limit by full text, but just to highlight what that looks like in practice. Also, you would just be looking for the abstracts essentially, plus and so on. But again, with abstracts here, with full text, this is from the Journal of Advanced Nursing, of course, as you see here. We've got access options, and you'll see you've got the PDF online, and the online full text I mentioned earlier does feature not only the text-to-speech software, which you can see with the headset menu. Okay, and you can change the text highlighting here and download the MP3, but also the ability to translate this. Now, this is in English, but I can translate it to another language if I prefer. Okay, so if I put it in Spanish, for example, then this will translate, and it is a machine translation provided by Microsoft. Okay. As I said, the difference with the PDF doesn't have the translation functionality right now, but you still have the ability, so you can see that the annotation there, translate by Microsoft, but you do have the options that are also available here too. So you can save items, you can generate the citation, you copy the citation, so you can choose in the admin tool the preferred format. So I know in the NHS in England it's Harvard. You can export the citation as well to RefWorks, EndNote in RIS format here as well. You have the option to add to a project. So when you add to a project, you need to be signed into my EBSCO, so you click the sign in option. This also needed for saving searches as well and saving items beyond the session. Go through the steps there, and then that item will be saved to a project that you create. So you can create one here if you've created one previously. So I can add a new project here. So for example, bowel cancer screening. And if it's an evidence search I'm doing on behalf of a clinician, a nurse, etc., allied health professional, then I can give it a due date when I need to complete this by. So, and then create that project. For some reason it wasn't added. I'm not sure what's going on there, but anyway. So just to add also, you can share items here, Google Drive, OneDrive, you can create the link to it. You've got the email option as well, so you can add this. If there are attached files, if there are PDFs and online folders available, you'll also be sent those as the attachment as well that come into your inbox. So if you're sharing an article there, you can download as well. So you can download in PDF, the PDF or online full text. And for the actual metadata, the bibliographic information, we have Word supported as well as bib text here. And then again, print option is also available for those who still wish to print items from this menu. So those tools are also available for the result list as well. Just going to skip this, not sure what happened with that one. So just quickly, I know we're running out of time, but again, I'm going to just resort this. If you want to, there are a couple of things you can do with this search. First of all, you can export it. So you can download from here. So just so a couple of things here. Are all records in CINAHL indexed except pre-CINAHL? Yes, that would be correct. Or are there more newly added records in there waiting to be fully indexed? So I think the ones that are waiting would be the pre-CINAHL records, essentially. Is there a print search history from Patrick? No, there isn't a print search history, but what I'm about to show you is an option that you can use for that. And yes, you can, from Chris, export multiple records in RIS format is their bulk option. So first thing, just to illustrate, you can download the search here, and you can download up to 500 lines, as it were. A choice of formats include PDF, Word, CSV. If you need a table or chart to document your search, then you can download the CSV form. RTF, I would say, is probably generally better than Word, because when you see it, it collates the sets, not just on a single page for each line, as it were. So I'm just going to show that on screen quickly. Okay, So if I just drag this across, this is in rich text format. So this is the search query. So the set number is given, the query, etc. when it was run, date, so it's date stamped, etc. The results, search mode used, database used, etc. So that's clearly displayed on this page as a record. So of course you can print that. You've also again got the CSV form as well that you can use. In addition to that, you can also save the search. So within the result list, you'll see the search actions, and you can save the search here, and that will require you to be signed in, and then you can change the query to the actual name of the search. Okay, I'll just use this one. Give it a description if you wish. You can copy the actual combined query to the clipboard if you wish, and then once you've given it a name, etc., you can save it, and any saved searches are stored in the saved folder. So this is like the default EBSCO articles folder for Classic. So this is where everything goes to initially. Okay, so records and searches. Now, if you are creating a project, you can take this search now and you can add it to a project. Okay, so if I've got bowel cancer screen, which I have, I can save it now to this custom folder. So saved is the default folder for saving searches, records, projects is your own custom area. Okay. Now, also answer to Chris's question, I think it was Chris earlier said, what happens about migrating content? This allows you to get a report for old folders in the classic version. And this is currently available to the end of December. It may well be extended, but you click and then you can download the report here, and you click download and it will generate the spreadsheet, which I will open. I may not have much here, by the way, so I'm just going to show you this. So I just drag this across. This is now a record of my folders, as it were. Okay, so again, you can see the documentation here, the database. These are from this is the Medline search or Medline records here. And you can see the bibliographic information and so on. So I won't dazzle you with all this information, but again, this is the report that you can generate based on the folder that you had previously. Okay, so again, with the content type, etc., and so on. Okay, etc. So that can be downloaded from the projects page. So when you come to this page, you can, this is ready to custom content, by the way. The actual saved searches, the saved records that you have on the original classic interface will be migrated to this interface. Okay, let's see. Notice also you have the option to bulk delete here now. So for example, I want to delete these two searches. I can now delete them. And you always get the prompt whether you want to do that or not. So I can delete from here. So this is a new feature which allows you to manage these areas much more effectively. Okay, so just back to the question regarding, and I'm just going to run this again so you can see this, the exporting of records as well. So when you bring up results in the result list, just to illustrate here, you'll see you have got the option to export up to 25,000 records here. So now I've got 58,000 here, so I could probably, remove or filter that more. However, you can use that feature. If I click this option now, you can, the upper limit is 100,000 in one day, in 24 hours. So I've got 58,000 records. So in theory, I could download, the metadata of up to 25,000 records. I'll get sent a link. So when I do this, so I choose RS format here and send this, I get confirmation that a link to download that metadata will be available for 7 days. Okay, so again, it can be used up to 4, in total for 100,000 records to be exported from the interface within a 24-hour period. So Christy asked, when saving, will it save all lines? Yes, it will. So when you're saving a search, it will save the lines. Okay, so I showed you that earlier with the download of the search history from that advanced search result list view. Okay, also to mention here on this page, you'll see the bookmark icon, so you can save items here. You can save a complete list. So I can go here, I can set those. I can add these directly to a project as well. So again, I can choose that same project. I can add these records now. So it's possible to create the project and add from the result list rather than having to save to the save folder and then go to a project. You can do it directly into the project. And again, the tools to share and site are also featured here as well. So there is a lot to see, as you can appreciate. I'll probably have to stop there because of time, and appreciate all the feedback, questions that come through, which are really useful for us. But I will go back to the PowerPoint now. Yes, and Chris has said, can we ask for the project report download to be available longer, as we may not reach all of our users in the period where we migrate? So I will check that out for you. So in terms of future developments, recommend going to the ebsco.com/roadmaps and the research platforms area, because that will detail developments happening with the platforms, including the EBSCOhost interface, which we're looking at today. You'll see the reference there to bulk delete from search history. So I think there will be that option from within the search history page itself that you saw on the advanced search result list, but it is already there for recent activity and in the projects folder as well. So there are some elements of that already applied. So again, that's worth going to. Release notes on EBSCO Connect also detail ongoing efforts at EBSCO to improve the interfaces based on customer feedback and so on. And for those who like to be informed or updated monthly about what's going on, there is a EBSCO interface insights newsletter. So that will detail releases that have happened or are happening, etc. So again, you might want to receive that in your inbox to save you keep going back to the roadmap. You can be informed directly on a monthly basis. But the roadmap is updated quarterly officially, but sometimes the updates are more frequent, and we have had things added sooner rather than later as well. And for those who are going to be engaged in more systematic reviews, systematic searching, we do have this page which also updates you about various features and functionality that we see and we understand are needed, and whether or not they've been released and when they're coming. Okay, so we do have a very responsive product management team who have been engaging with librarians in the UK and Ireland, and also ourselves as trainers, in terms of knowing what's needed out there in terms of supporting, for example, Prisma guidelines when you're doing systematic searches and so on. So there are efforts to enhance the interface, as you've seen today. So just train support, some links within the PowerPoint for you to refer to. And also a reminder, if you have any technical issues, queries with the interface, please report them via the EBSCO Connect portal if possible. You do need to be registered for that. You can request an account for that, but it means that you can submit cases through the case management system, which is a lot easier to follow up. But you can explore that in your own time. And of course, we have EBSCO Academy with more tutorials, e-learning paths as well on various interfaces, including EBSCOhost. And also for those of you who are looking for more training, as I said, there are some more sessions coming up with more detailed look at the searching experience. We have this portal which collates relevant information for CINAHL, Medline, and other healthcare databases, including past recordings of sessions as well. So just to give you the heads up, there is this session coming up very soon in a couple of weeks with my colleague Yosra, who's based in Cairo in Egypt. She has a background in the pharmaceutical industry, and we are working together to provide this session on advanced searching using Pico. So again, similar to what you saw today, maybe a bit extra as well, but you're welcome to join that webinar. It will be an international audience, as it were. So you'll be able to scan the QR code when you get that in your inbox, etc. So, and then also the ones I mentioned earlier, I am running a series of supporting systematic review sessions beginning in December, and also systematic literature searching in Medline specifically. So again, watch this space. They are now scheduled, so you can sign up for them. Okay, appreciate all the comments and feedback. Glad you could join, and I hope it's been useful. So feel free to contact me directly if you need to as well at rcrooks@ebsco.com. Okay, thank you very much.